All right, I got the air conditioning on now, so maybe I'll stop sweating and my beer will stop sweating. But where was I? We were talking about CCS Davis one's question about what are your top favorite films and TV shows. I went with TV shows first. I answered that. It's in the previous video. Films, I went over. My number one favorite, I usually say, is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Two, I usually say, is A Simple Plan. Three is Boogie Nights, which I saw in high school. I think I was like a sophomore. It was what 1997 when it came out. So yeah, I was a sophomore in high school, and I saw it in the theater on shrooms. I'll admit that. Why the fuck not? And it's just P.T. Anderson, Paul Thomas Anderson. I'm a big fan of what he did back, like through Magnolia. After Magnolia, eh. Hopefully he does more stuff that I'll like more. Like Punch Struck Love is okay to see Sandler in a different type of role, like in a scarier type of role, and or more dramatic, but he's scary in it. I thought, and what was the fuck? There Will Be Blood. I thought it was ambitious and different, and it got a lot of good reviews and people noticed it. But I just, it's fucking boring a little bit. Let's be honest about There Will Be Blood. It was a little fucking boring. But Boogie Nights was Paul Thomas Anderson's second film after Hard Eight, which I also love. And Boogie Nights is just like a celebration. This is just a guy, like it's a young guy that is confident in his filmmaking, just pulling out every trick in the book that he knows and having a blast with it. Um, and he's riffing on like Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese and just kind of emulating a lot of the people he loves, but just adding his own flair to it, and just someone having fun with film. And I fucking love the movie for that. It's what it is. It's Mark Wahlberg in his big first like starring role or big dramatic role as the kid with the big dick that gets involved in the porn industry, and it goes from like the late '70s to the early '80s, from the heyday of porn to the kind of the dark days of porn. And it's got lots of sex and drugs and nudity and this and that in it, and that stuff is fun, and that's a lot of what drew me to it when I was younger. And violence, there's bursts of sudden, shocking violence, which is awesome. I still think to this day it's awesome. But the thing that, great scenes like the firecracker scene when they're trying to sell the fake coke. But the thing that really stands out to me about it now, and this is what Anderson has said the movie is about, and all of his movies are about. He says is, or most of his movies are about, is it's about family. It's about people that come from families that suck, and they make their own family, and they're this makeshift family that they have still has flaws, but they all love each other, and that's really what Boogie Nights is about. Other than a lot of other things, and but it's just a joy to watch. It's just a celebration of film with just so many crazy fucking moments and great soundtrack and different crazy things going on. I love Boogie Nights. Um, so that would be Eternal Sunshine, Simple Plan, and Boogie Nights. Those are the ones I usually name as my top three. Um, what would 4 and 5 be? God, I don't freaking know. There's so many movies I love though. Like the movies I loved when I was a kid. My favorite films were probably like Halloween, Gremlins, Die Hard, and Terminator. And by the way, I will fight to this day. I'll maybe do a rant about this. I'll do a video about it one day about. Everyone thinks Terminator 2 is the best Terminator film. They're fucking wrong. Terminator 1 is better. It's fucking 80s, better music, has more of an edge to it. It's grittier. It almost feels like a horror movie. Terminator 2 is good, and I loved it in its time. But if I wanted to go back watch one of them now, it's always going to be Terminator 1. Just so much better flavor to it. Like Terminator 2 is just it's a early '90s action movie, groundbreaking at the time, yes, and still a lot of fun, but doesn't have that grit and soul that Terminator 1 had. Uh, Other favorite films? God, there's a billion of them. I could spend all day. I'm not gonna do it. I gave you some right there. Those are some of my absolute favorites. Um, I only think I have like one more question, but I had to stretch it into a third video so I could get to everything. Oh no, wait. I do have two more questions, I believe. Highlight 17. He says, "Congrats on 100 subs." Blah blah blah. He said, "What's some of your all-time favorite video games?" This is another one I could go on forever about because I don't know if people on my YouTube channel would know it as much as other people, but I am a huge gamer. And my favorites, we'll keep it short. My favorite series of all time, and the reason I think I really got into gaming was The Legend of Zelda. I love the first one, second one, Zelda 2, nah. Most people aren't a big fan of that. But then A Link to the Past on Super Nintendo, God, I played the shit out of that game. I probably like I had a Super Nintendo and I had a handful of games where I had like NBA Jam, Mortal Kombat 2, you know, stuff that most people had, Star Fox, Super Mario World, stuff like that. But I mostly played Link to the Past over and over and over and over. And strangely, I'd always get stuck at the same temple for some reason, but I finally did beat it years later, like a couple years ago. Don't ask me why I got so stuck in this one temple. But yeah, like any of the Zelda games, especially Link to the Past. When people ask me what's your favorite video game of all time, simple answer: Link to the Past, and it is. But I really love Majora's Mask. I love Wind Waker. I like Twilight Princess. Some more recent games. I think my favorite game of this generation is BioShock. I think it was the first game that really had a story that wowed me, and it was just interesting mechanics in the gameplay for a first-person shooter. Great atmosphere, the Art Deco city that you're in. I'm really looking forward to BioShock Infinite. It's like my most anticipated game ever right now. Um, Other favorite games. I mean, I like them all. I play so many things that I enjoy. Resident Evil, Dead Rising, Halo Reach. I fucking love. I could go on all day about my favorite games. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, which I've ranted about on here before. I love that game. Uh, God, what would be my favorite game from the GameCube? Pikmin. I love Pikmin. I love it all, man. I love every game. So you ask me my favorite game, it goes to Zelda. But I love a lot of stuff. So there's a few of my favorites. I'm sure there's many, many more that I'm forgetting right now. Um, and one more question I have is from Torts1217. She asks, if you could see a movie turned into a video game, what would it be? And I like saw her question a while ago, and I was like, man, I don't know, because most movies are like have, or not most, but a lot of movies have video game tie-ins. They're usually garbage because they're rushed. And then I was thinking about it, I'm like, it would have to be like an action movie, because video games rely on action more than story for the most part. You got your LA noirs of the world. You have your like Heavy Rain type stuff, which strangely are very cinematic. But I'm just trying to think. I was trying to think, what would it be? What would it be? And then I remembered, I wrote a blog post a couple years ago saying like, why the hell do they not make like any horror movies that are video games? Like, how come there's not a Friday the 13th game? Probably because they don't know how to do it. But the one, it's not even my favorite horror franchise, but I think it would be awesome as a video game, is Nightmare on Elm Street. They should just do Nightmare on Elm Street as a video game. It would be so freaking cool. You know, have you play as Nancy or something. Think about what video games like. Think about Eternal Darkness, the insanity effects that they had in that, or the Scarecrow sequences that were in Batman Arkham Asylum, and think what they could do with a Nightmare on Elm Street video game. The limits are the developers' imaginations because they could do anything. It's a dreamscape. All sorts of crazy stuff could happen, and it could be scary and fun and crazy. Just the worlds that they could come up with. I mean, I would love to see a Nightmare on Elm Street video game. I think that would be awesome. So that's my answer to that one. Really, just think about it. Think Eternal Darkness. Think the Scarecrow sequences in Batman, and then go, hey, couldn't that be applied to Nightmare on Elm Street? And think of how awesome that would be. So I've answered all the questions now. I want to thank everyone that sent me a question. Believe me, I had a lot of fun answering them. I would do it again. I will do it again. In fact, if you want to ask more questions, leave it on these Q&A videos, and maybe I'll do a follow-up Q&A. But if not, I'll do one down the road if I hit more subscribers. We'll see if that happens. But until then, I'm just gonna keep on talking movies and, of course, talking Breaking Bad because apparently I found my niche with that, which is cool. I really appreciate it. I'm happy that something that I talk about on here people really enjoy, and I don't know why because it's not different than what the movies that I talk about or anything else. I don't prepare for them. I don't edit them. I would like to learn how to edit and do stuff like that, and I should do it. But once again, motivation. But yeah, I'll continue to do that. You guys continue to watch. From the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of my pure beef heart, as they say at Superdog, I thank you. Keep watching. I'll keep making videos. Even if you don't keep watching, I'll keep making videos. So, but thanks once again, guys.